want to welcome everybody to the agenda meeting. To the public, there is no public discussion allowed or no comments, anything. You can just sit and listen. And let's start off. We're going to start off with the August 18th meeting to the call to order, roll call, moment of silence, pledge. We're going to have our public comment, and then we're going to have the consent agenda. Did everybody look at the consent agenda? Do we have any discussion over it? With that being said, first order of business will be disposal of equipment. Jim, is that you? Okay.
This is the standard, surplus property that's been identified, so the items are listed in the memo.
Anybody have any questions? I mean, this is easy. Next is the change order number 1 for the CCMG 24-2 project. Who wants to talk about
I
that?
got it. Back in February, we approved CCMG 24-2. There was a change order due to the fact that we are thickening the HMA, which is hot mix asphalt, in case you're wondering, section on Broadmoor. And we're adding 88 cast iron plates instead of plastic plates. Cast iron are more durable. And then we're 2 speed humps on Woodlawn. And the total cost for that is $92,996.10.
And that's an increase of how much? Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, I see it right here. We have any discussion over this?
The only thing I would ask, it's been talked about at the last meeting, and Bob, you did answer it about why Broadmoor is taking so long. But I'm wondering if it's worth having a timeline, that upcoming, just a schedule of activities, because now some of these street projects are starting again, just to kind of give,
I'll give you a timeline.
and just something that's written down that is potentially something that the town can just give out and say, here's an update of what's going on. And if there is a unnecessary delay that of something major that we can put on there, but just to give everybody an idea that the end is in sight now, another 2 months of road construction. And
So we do provide timelines. Milestone provides them to me, and we put them online, but do you want one just for Broadmoor?
I don't particularly care. I think it goes online, over the course. I think the more written communication we have, and if we gave out the timeline at the start of the project, maybe it is just to refresh everybody's mind with the same timeline. If it's being delayed a little bit, then there's a reason why it's delayed. It's just, I think more than one communication about timeline would be good. It could be exactly the same one. Maybe I might have missed it on Facebook or whatever else, but just to put it that we get, and I don't think the council has to announce it at the council meeting, but maybe it's a Facebook post that just says, by the way, we're 3 months into construction season and we're getting closed down and things like that.
Inquiries about that type of thing, but that would be helpful, yes.
And Chuck, we're gonna bring up line item F with Structure Point, and this is gonna be about the communications director, and I think that'll be a positive because they can handle this now. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it just goes right along with that.
Yes. Anything else before we move on? We're gonna go with the Park District bonds. Who wants to talk about that?
I will. So as you know, we're going to be issuing 2 bonds, a general obligation bond and a bond for the Park District. So what you have here is an engagement letter with Baker Tilly to assist us with the financial aspect of issuing the bond. This is their standard agreement that we've used before for their assistance whenever we're going to issue debt.
Again, this might be just semantics, and are they really Park District bonds? Because I don't want to get the terminology of Illinois and Indiana mixed up, but I do remember Indiana, there might be a district in there, but.
Well, I noticed that too, and I'm not sure if that's a formal terminology that has to be used or if it's just wrong word. I don't know. So,
Okay, Dave,
It's not a park district. I'm looking to see, we should use the words that Baker Tilly used.
Again, I don't care right now for this discussion, as long as
I mean,
whatever comes up on Monday, we should use the right terminology.
Okay. So we could
I
correct
I
that
think it,
terminology.
check with Baker Tilly, but they should amend that to park board fund.
Yeah. Okay. Any other discussion over that? Next is a letter of engagement, the bond council, that you do.
Yeah, this is similar. This is a bond counsel for these two bonds, for Farms and Farnbrook. We've used them before, Farms and Farnbrook, for doing the legal aspect of the bond that issues.
Any questions over this?
This is all consistent with the conversation we had with them like a couple of weeks ago. Nothing really changed.
Next comes up Baker Tilly, and Mara analyst.
Right, so this is an update to the analysis that was done before by Baker Tilly. My understanding, I think this preceded me, was when Kenara had their proposal for the development of a golf course site. Baker Tilly was engaged to do their financial analysis. Well, since that time, they've changed their plan, and they're gonna go with a technology park over there, and was brought before the plan commission.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the path they want to go on. So the use is changing now. So that's going to have a different economic and financial impact. So we
A
need
lot
Baker-
more.
Yeah, so we need Baker Tilly to update their previous analysis. So that's what this is for, is engagement with Baker Tilly to update that analysis.
Any questions?
Yes, I have been hearing, in fact, I just got off the phone with municipal official here in Griffith talking about the impact of Senate Bill 1. And it's been suggested that it's going to have a $2 to $3 million impact on us on the general fund. So it adds greater urgency to the efforts that I've made since March for cost cutting and alternative revenue. We're looking to update this study. Is there any reason why we can't approach Saxon Partners and say, hey, you want to do this? Why don't you pay for this?
They are going to pay for it. Yeah. And my understanding
Is that in this?
it's in my memo.
All right.
They are going to pay for it. My understanding is they did that, the previous analysis.
That was part of, yeah, that was part of the original development.
Right, so they are going to pay for this.
Any other questions on this?
Do we know what their PUD is going to entail yet, or is it just a change to a technology?
It's just changed to PUD and he's gonna make it a technology. We're at the planning commission meeting.
But we don't know what is the plan yet.
No.
No.
It's a two-step process,
Yeah.
Chuck.
Yeah,
So whenever you do a PUD, you gotta change it to the PUD,
okay,
and then you've gotta write the PUD ordinance. So, right now, it's CDD, whatever, right?
Right, dashboard.
Zoning classification. First step is to come in and ask that, can this be a PUD?
right,
And he's giving you generally that it's a technology park. Now, that could be a data center, I mean, you and I could sit here and come up with 50 things that could be in a technology park, right? So the devil's gonna be in the details, and once he wants to, I mean, before he spends the money to do the engineering that would be necessary to actually write the PUD ordinance, right?
okay,
He needs to know whether the town is going to go along with, right? So just changing it to PUD, he's still, it's now a blank slate, and he's gotta come in with the ordinance of what it's gonna be, and we have to agree to it.
Mhm.
But let's say you, as the council said, listen, no, we like CDB, whatever it is, and we are not inclined to do a PUD there. If he knows that on the front end, then he doesn't spend the money on the back end for all the engineering and all that other stuff.
I guess I understand that. And is the purpose of, if it's a technology park, and before the terminology was another vague terminology of, something medical, improved medical, business to business type, entrepreneurship, whatever it was.
That was gonna be within the confines of what it was zoned.
Right. But is this technology, are we expected to see a better return
Yes.
now than what it was before?
Oh, yes.
Okay,
And he had the numbers yesterday, and I'm sorry, I don't have them, but it's triple than what we were gonna get now.
okay.
Triple
And-
what?
and-
Triple the assessed value?
Well, there was a $300 million impact or something.
Yeah, it
with the
was gonna
last-
be a lot
last
more.
one.
And I'm sorry, don't have figures, come to the plan commissioner, look up the.
Yeah, well, and I'm fine with that, but I guess is part of the reason why this has to be done is because the last one was done 4 or 5 years, 3 or 4 years ago, and there's a difference of evaluation or, cost of living and things, or I guess, is this the right time to do this? Because I still don't get an idea of what he's looking to put in the PUD. Other than technology, and if technology is gonna be better than the last one, are we better off possibly doing this 6 months from now when it's gonna be even better numbers, or when we know more of what he's looking to really do?
Well, you have to tell him whether you're willing, right now, he's got a piece of property that's zoned a certain way, and there are certain uses that are.
It's a zoning.
Right? So what he's looking to do does not fit its current zone. So he's got to find out whether you, as the council, are willing to wipe the slate clean and consider a technology park use, okay, for this property. If your answer is no, then he needs to know that on the front end. If the answer is yes, we'll consider it, then you tell him that, and now it's up to him to draft an ordinance that meets your expectations. And along with that, you've got the assessed value issues. I would tell you, yeah, I mean, the technology parks I've seen and the data centers, I mean, the assessed values are through the roof.
Chuck, I want to weigh in. Chuck, I agree with you. We need more than just some technology park. That's a dartboard that is pretty large, and where the darts land on that dartboard, we could end up with all sorts of things. What little I know about data centers, they suck up a lot of water, they use a lot of juice, electricity, and they can be extremely loud. And I don't know if that's something, I think we need more information.
He didn't say data center, he said a technology center.
Okay,
Data
but what's
center.
the definition of a technology park? Could that be a data center? I mean, I heard that used.
But if we give them a PUD, we still have full control. And plus, he's given us the lake and everything else as a park.
Well, to Chuck,
Good.
you're asking for, where's he going with this? And he
Well-
wants some commitment from us, and I think the point is, there's the, I'm hearing what you said, we've got the chicken and the egg problem. Are we gonna go along with it? I think the answer every municipality will give, sure, show us what you got. And then it goes, my experience working with developers is, sure, show us what you got, and that means he goes and sits down with the architects, the engineers, planners, and they come back with something and say, okay, here's where we're going with this. Yeah, it costs a little bit of money. You gotta prime the pump to go. I'm not clear what is being asked of us right now. We're just gonna give them a blanket yes, and then we're committed to something?
We're not committed to anything. We have full control of the PUD. Meaning, if he comes in with this data center and we say no, after we do our research,
Well, what is he asking from us right now?
a blank slate. He wants to get rid of the CD4 dash whatever and just look at a blank slate.
Well, why can't, look, we've discussed this before. Why can't he do what every other developer in the United States does? Come and bring us your plans, and we'll tell you if we like it. Right now, yeah, you want to do something with the parcel? Sure, but let's not put ourselves in a way where we have somehow legally committed ourselves, like in a form of a letter of intent or something, where he can come back later and say, Munster, you said I could do this. No. Have him come back to us with engineering plans, schematics, show us what he's doing, and then, yeah, we'll give it fair faith consideration.
So
Mr. Westman, is that what
First
you're
of all,
saying?
can I interrupt here? Jim, you were gonna mention something.
Well, a couple things. What we have here with Baker Tilly is updating their previous analysis. They can only do that, obviously, based on the information they have on development.
Right.
So they're not gonna initiate their analysis until they have all the information they need from Kenmara, which is based on the PUD.
Right.
So they don't have all that yet because that's still being flushed out. So what we're approving here, or asking you to approve, is kind of set the stage so that when the information, the financials is in, Baker Tilly can start their review. Now, as far as getting more details on the project, that's gonna be part of the PUD application process
Mhm.
and the PUD review process that's gonna go before the planning commission.
We're not approving anything except Baker Tilly right now.
And I really don't have a problem with this. I guess part of it is what's different now than what it was 3 months or 4 years ago. And it is the developer closer because now, you know, we were under a huge effort to make the entrance, you know, to have that, agreement taken care of so we could have an entrance, so we could start marketing the building. And that was 1.5 years ago. And has he been able to give us? I think we have to do, I don't have a problem doing the financial impact with Baker Tilly. He's gonna reimburse it. But again, how valuable is it now? Or is it better? Is it better to wait till we have a little bit more detail of what the technology thing is gonna be?
Well, when they do this, they also do the projections too. So the numbers that they may evaluate it on the numbers they have now, but they're also gonna project the impact going forward.
The numbers of buildings?
Well, no, the
Or-
financial numbers, so, the property taxes, the expected increment.
We're not approving Gary Warfel and his PUD. We're just approving for a company to come and give us financial information.
I agree, but the last time we had this done, the
And we're not
financial,
paying for it.
the financial impact was big.
Mhm.
And what I'm hearing is the financial impact now might be even better than what it was before.
Mhm.
So I'm good with the financial impact. I want to move forward with the project as much as we can. But again, I guess I just don't. It seems like there's not a lot of information right now. And how are we going to improve the information if we don't really know different terminology, technology part versus.
And that's what this is
I,
gonna
I
show
think
us.
you are well within your rights prior to approving a PUD to know that information, okay? Right now, you have a financial analysis at CD, what it's currently zoned. He's saying, right, like, he's starting the process of going for a change from that zoning to a PUD before the plan commission. It's realistically 60 to 90 days away from ever hitting your desk. What he's saying now is like, listen, I want to show you the financial analysis. He could go hire whomever he wants, right, to give us a financial analysis. But we would
Okay.
say, I think, well, that's all well and good, but Baker Tilly's been our people for years, so we want Baker Tilly to do it. So he's kind of short circuiting that and saying, I want to show you the difference in the financial numbers before you vote on whether or not to change it to PUD, because I think that number is gonna be, he thinks it's gonna be way out there.
Okay, I think I understand the difference now. He still has to give
Yes.
Baker Tilly more information.
Oh,
Just to change the zoning.
Right, that's what I was missing. I was missing that, he's just gonna say PUD, but this is in effect what we would, in other towns, in some other places, he would be doing this financial impact meetings to us.
That's
We're saying, no, we don't want you to do the financial impact, we want our people to do the financial impact. That's when he gives us the information,
Mhm.
and again, okay, I think I get a better.
And this reimbursement's part of the phase 1A development agreement where they're paying up to 175,000 of costs, is that right? I'm sorry.
That I don't know, because I didn't, right, like I've kind of.
We
pulled
should
myself
really be
away
asking
from
Dave these
development
questions
agreement and
anyhow, he's
stuff.
not the attorney on this project.
No.
But
So he negotiated the original agreement.
I did, but I think they blew through the original, right? This is like, he's saying, listen, I'm gonna give you a financial study. You want me to use your guy, and I will. right, and we just are
And we've
blessing.
got-
Jonathan, the last time he did this, it was the same thing. I think he came back with a preliminary one. We said, we like that, Gary, but we want to do our own. We want Baker Tilly to do it, somebody that we've worked with before.
Right.
Would you reimburse us for this amount of money? And that was it the last time. I remember that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
So
okay.
this is very similar to what
It's
he
the
did the
same.
last time.
And then you'll have two sets of numbers, right? And you'll be able to compare whether or not you even wanna allow.
Which I got. I think I'm understanding where my hangup was, is that he needs to get a lot more information
Oh, hell yeah.
to
Yeah, it's
Baker
still,
Tilly.
it's still, right, it's still preliminary.
Another thing that's happened when he came to site plan review, he's got an NDA with NIPSCO and this. So he was reserved on giving any of them. And it's hinging on whether the town will entertain this.
Okay. Straight across. All right, thank you.
But what you're voting on is just the rezone.
Yes.
That's all it is.
No.
No, we're not.
Oh, you're not even, we haven't even gotten there yet.
We're not even there yet, just the financials, and have Baker Tilly do it, and that's who we want to have do it, because we work well with Baker Tilly.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah, any other questions? Okay, let's move forward to structured point agreement.
So this agreement goes back to the presentation that American Structure Point gave to the council back in May to prepare our communications plan. And they provided a price at that time. And it was a lump sum price. I asked them to break it out into the major components of what they're gonna do, which they did. And the price came down a little bit. And then I asked them to give us the actual agreement, they have approved so that they can initiate the work. So that's what you have in front of you now. So consideration is whether to approve this agreement with Structure Point. It's approved, and they'll start going through the process of preparing the communications plan based on their presentation. So this will include doing the research, messaging, developing the plan, training staff, helping to implement it, and then managing it going forward.
Any questions over this?
Yes.
Mhm.
Where are we paying? What fund are we paying for this out?
I believe it's a general fund. I don't know if it was specifically budgeted, how a specific fund, I'd have to ask Tricia, but I believe it was a general fund.
Do you have information that gives you a sense of what the Senate Bill 1 impact is going to be on the general fund?
We expect it to be, well, the DLGF told us worst case scenario is about 3.3 million,
That's what.
which is higher than we originally thought, higher than they originally told us. So it's gonna be higher than we expected.
And is that based on just a single family home? $300 per home
That I
reduction
don't
in the tax revenues?
That I don't know.
In- Our general fund is what, a little over 9 million now? Okay, so that's a third of the fund that we're potentially losing. Now, I know other communities are being creative with cost cutting and alternative revenue activities. I don't know what we're doing. We're supposedly having a meeting to discuss that in 2 weeks. Is there really urgency to push this through now until we have that meeting? If we're looking at you said $3.3 million hit to the general fund, and this is being funded out of that? There's only one way we're gonna paper that over. We're gonna have to raid the TIF account. And I asked you for those numbers, and I know you'll get those to me here shortly. But that's something I think we need to have a conversation. Is this something that we could hold off for a couple of weeks? And then have our budgeting conversation, know where we land with the general fund, because we're spending money that we may not have with this communication strategy. Does that make sense? Let's give it 2 weeks, guys, and see where that falls out in the conversation.
I understand the concern about Senate Bill 1. There are a number of different funds that I believe this would be able to be used in. And I think the issue with this one is we need to get communication to our residents. We have wallowed in, past practices for many years now. And I think it goes back even before I was on the council. We've had the same system for a long time. I think this is a really a slow and steady way of getting this up to speed. And I don't think it's as simple as hiring a communication person for the town, because the structure is not set up. The way police department communicates with residents versus park department versus street department are three different things, and every department's different. And I think we need to have a strategy that puts this all together. And I think we have to aggressively reach out to the residents and say, what are you looking for? And so I think that this is needed. I think, yes, I think if it's a general fund thing, I think we should look at it, but at the same time, this is, I think, as important as anything else that we're doing. And there are going to be, there's community development funds, there's promotional funds that the town has that we've used for different types of things. There's even, I think you could probably even justify some redevelopment issues that you can, and like a lot of these things, it can be taken out of 2 or 3 different types of funds. I do think it's a question we can ask Tricia and Wendy before the meeting on Monday, but I would rather not delay this for another 2 weeks, but I do think answering the question is important. But I think the end result of this is too important. And if we wanted to wait we've waited, in my mind, we waited 4 months already from February when these things came in, and I would like to keep on moving forward with it.
Any other comments on this?
I can respond. Chuck, I absolutely agree. I think there needs to be a strategic plan for communications. But I'm thinking what you did at the last council meeting with the crossing guards. You came back with a very good analysis, and it looks like we're going to save some money. And I'm wondering if we have a 33% hit on our general fund, and we're going to reduce that. Maybe it's time that we go back and be a little bit more aggressive with this. This is their full priced option. Can we afford the full price option? Right now, I can't say that we can't, notwithstanding the need. And I think this is another situation where what's the harm in waiting a couple of weeks? Sort of like going back to the sewer and water rate increase we had in last fall, where I urged that we wait for Public Works to develop their numbers, and they did. We could have had that vote in March of this year, and nobody would have known the difference because the rate increases that we discussed were going into effect in March of 26. And I think that's the same thing here. Once you sign the contract, we're stuck with the contract. And we might be having to come back in a broader sense of looking at ways to save money. And we might use the crossing guard illustration as, maybe we're going to be a little bit tighter on this. I don't know.
Jim, are we stuck with the contract? I thought we could opt out anytime we wanted to.
This one, I don't know. Well, it's not a recurring contract. It's project based. So once the project's over, it's not like it's a multi-year contract where there's typically a clause where you can, either party can terminate it. This is a little different. It's not multi-year per se. It's for a particular project.
Dave, you got thoughts on this?
Well, in all honesty, we had an item on the agenda a year ago about a public relations program. So we've been sitting since then, and in all honesty, what we're doing today is the same thing we've done for the last 20 years. I would like to have more information about SB1. I mean, 3.3 million is a lot of money, and that's a third of our general fund. We're in the crash and burn. A few years ago, 4 years ago, we had a cut, and the department heads, Steve can tell us that what went on, and it was very tight. here at the town. So I guess with that saying, I could sit and wait.
Joe?
Well, I mean, the thought of, you know, the whole communication line getting corrected and becoming more effective is important. I think that we have a lot of irons in the fire. There's a lot of things as it relates to SB one and as it relates to cuts.
Yeah.
And things like that. Again, the $3.3 million is obviously worst case scenario. Because initially when we were, you know, talking to Tricia, I think she was talking more on the area of 800,000 to 900,000. And so, you know, how those numbers, and I don't think that they were very clear on calculator, how they came across those calculations.
Those numbers are 3 years.
Oh,
$3.9.
I'm sorry.
No, that's not what we're hearing now.
I was at county yesterday,
Yeah.
and they said that PLGF numbers were way off.
well, let me offer some rougher than that.
I think you got somebody else.
I'm sorry, I called Wendy, she's traveling back from down. Is it okay if I ask her about Senate Bill 1, just what?
Yes.
What,
Yes,
is that okay? And sorry, Wendy,
Do I have to put her in attendance?
I put you on the spot here and you're driving the car and everything else. The question came up is, do we know what the hit in our general fund will be for Senate Bill 1? And when would we know that?
Some projections that have come out that it'll be between 700,000 and 800,000 this year and next year. And the following year, 1.6.
Okay, so, and our total general fund's about $9 million?
I
Revenue?
don't have it in front of me, so I don't know.
Okay.
I think it's look at the last treasurer's report.
Okay, but the hit on our general fund for this upcoming year will be, is what you're hearing projections, and this is strictly projections, about 700,000.
700,000 to 800,000. It's not quite 8, but it's over 7.
Okay,
Hey Wendy, it's Jonathan. My understanding is that first year implementation of Senate Bill 1, the $300 credit for single family home kicks in. Is that right?
Yes, that's up to 300.
Up to 300. Let's just, so I'm on Google. I Googled the number of single family homes. It's saying up between 7,500 and 8,000 homes. Let's say 7,500 times 300. That's 2.25 million that the $300 credit would reduce the budget. Not everybody's gonna get 300. It's gonna be a variation of up to 300. So it could be. Well, but
Wendy's talking.
But that $300 credit is against the 1% taxation amount, correct?
Factor in there as well. So the number, it was given out by the state, and it's, again, I don't have it in front of me. It's like an LGA report, LGS report, and it's got the projections, and they were early on. They have not revised them at any time since then.
Hey, Wendy, so the $300, when we're using the 1% single family home cap, that means that a house, and I know there's that 10% component there. But I divide 300 by 0.01, that means we'd have a house that would get less than a $300 credit has to have an assessment of less than $30,000. I think here in Munster, every house in Munster probably has an assessment of no less than 6 figures. So everybody's gonna get that $300 credit.
but that $300 credit doesn't just go against the town of Munster's property tax. That $300 credit
That's true.
goes to school town, goes to county, and that's why you can't take that $300 times the houses in Munster and extrapolate it to $3
Well,
million.
again,
The units get that. And I think there's a lot that goes into it, especially with the tax cap. I mean, I know that a lot of our homes here in Munster do hit the tax cap, so.
Wendy, just when do you think you'll have the total impact type discussion or numbers?
We have a schedule for the 27th.
Yeah.
And then we have the budget workshop scheduled where I think, again, off the top of my head, I'm driving, so September 3rd maybe is when we're having the budget discussion. So we'll have a better idea. We'll be able to present that to you then.
Okay,
Chuck, to your point, I think the town of Munster component is about 45% of the tax levy. So that comes out to just a little bit over $1 million. Using rough and ready math, so I think you're right. But it's a big number.
thanks, Wendy. I sorry to put you on the spot like that.
Thanks, Wendy.
But
Thank you.
but that's what
Thanks,
I.
Wendy.
Sorry. Okay,
That's a good point.
Do you want to hold it off for 2 weeks more?
we've held it off this far.
I know.
Another 2 weeks isn't
Yeah.
gonna help us.
But we
I
do
agree with
need to
your-
get a
your point.
communications.
I'm not trying to delay this, but I really want to be able to look people, the little old ladies in the eye and say, we looked at the numbers and doing it, here's why. That's fine.
So we'll take that off. It will be on the next agenda.
Because we do need to know the impact of SP.
Well, that brings us up to the salary ordinance. Jim,
So what I provided to you in my memo was some additional information that was requested at the last meeting. This answers the question as far as how the salary is going to be paid and what's the distribution of their salaries over the different funds. So I provided a table and chart that shows that, and also Tricia provided the grade scale. But then as also as part of the salary ordinance, the breakdown by fund for not just these 3 positions we're talking about, but for all the positions. So it lists the position title and it lists the 8 funds that we use to fund salaries, and it shows the percentage of the salary for each of these positions that's coming out of each fund. So this gives you a sense of what the spread's going to be. So for the director of communications position, assistant town manager, and economic development director positions, you can see that they're spread across 6 different funds, 7 funds, and the percentage is not coming entirely out of the general fund. It's broken out over several funds.
Jim, this is new. Where is that on that chart? What grade is that?
There's a separate document in
Yeah.
Trello.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. Is that the town manager one?
No.
Here's the one I'm looking at. Is that the one I should be looking at?
Oh, yes, that is it.
Okay, where on that, which row are you in?
The ones that are in red.
Okay, thank you.
The positions that are listed in red.
Jim, when, or how do you anticipate bringing, if these all positions would be covered, how would you bring them in? Would you bring them all at one time, or do you have are we looking at just passing the ordinance now and then, over the course of 3 or 4 or 5 months, bringing these folks on, or do you have people in mind that, or do you have announcements ready to go out tomorrow that you're gonna hire these people all for at the same time?
No, I wouldn't hire them all at the same time. The recruitment for the assistant town manager position would probably take 4 to 6 months.
Okay.
If we're going to outsource that recruitment. Okay. The other 2 positions, communications and economic development director position, I would do that internally, so I would prepare the ads and post the ads. Those ads are due typically within 30 days. Those positions would be hired possibly within 2 to 3 months.
what's the most important position that you would like to see hired first?
The assistant town manager.
And I'm sorry, I asked the question, you were talking about funding first and answering the question. I was not at the last agenda review, but Dave and Jonathan, you guys, and I think other discussions were regarding the funding or the fund where it's coming out of there. are those questions answered, or did you have more questions about that, Dave? I kind of jumped the gun to ask other questions, so.
So I worked with some people in the business, and a realistic impact for this cost savings, 300 to 1.5 million a year in avoided costs, because by hiring them, now we're looking at basically not having consultants and hiring consultants and HR and stuff like that. The economic development director, which I think we need right away, will help us look at buildings like the old Boston Market, the Harley Davidson building, anything that's for sale, and getting the businesses that our residents want in town, not the businesses that we don't want in town. But I'm happy with this. I think it looks good. It's not like we're gonna go on it right away. It's just passing a salary ordinance and then bringing things up.
I think from my understanding, from my outside, or looking at the town manager's office compared to any other town manager or any other department, is woefully understaffed. to begin with.
Oh,
And,
yes.
and we need that to become a more viable department and being able to adjust to different requests, demands and everything else. So I'm in favor of this.
I'm in favor of this.
Well, I'm gonna make the same comment about, let's hear where it falls with the budget conversation. I'm not opposing this as far as what is being suggested. I'm merely asking that we have a more comprehensive conversation about the funding. And from the experience with the police salary raises, we looked in here and we originally had a conversation about paying from the general fund. And my recollection was that the increase would exceed the then general fund revenue. And then we had further conversations about how we can move across some of the different boundaries and the different funds. And I see that the controller has gone there, but it can flow both ways. And if we do have a serious budget crunch and we have to tighten our belt, money that we're pulling out of these funds is money that we might need to fund some of the other positions that are on this sheet. And I think it's important that we go into this with eyes wide open so that we can report to the town that we've done our job. I mean, that's why we're here. So again, I'm not opposed to what we're talking about. I recognize that we need staff in the town manager's office, but I think we also have to be able to report back to the town that we have been prudent. You consider where the budgetary impacts are, and we feel confident that we can move forward. And I'd like to have Wendy and Tricia here. I respect both of them, and I think they'd be capable of offering us the assurances that we don't have right now to move forward on a vote. So I would suggest we also hold this off for 2 weeks until we have our financial officers here to be able to make that kind of a report.
They did give us all the information you requested last meeting, so.
Yes and no. They said where they would pull, they said the accounts that they would pull from, but again, I'm going back to the police salary raise. Those accounts that we're using for the police salaries can serve other job descriptions. And if we're having a financial crunch, the money that we're pulling out of these other accounts could be money that is used to pay the other salary positions that we don't have funds to cover. In some instances, we have positions. I'm looking at row 2. One of those administrative secretaries for the fire department is 100% from the general fund. If we get crunched, we may have to pull money out of some of these other funds to help start offset, to help cover those salaries. If we have $1 million loss in the general fund, that's gonna start impacting things. And again, I think let's have the assurances of our financial officers where we land on this.
So I got a question for you. We're going through 5 more police interviews. If we get hit with this impact, Are you gonna support that, or are you gonna put it on hold until after we review what happens in the budget?
I don't know. I mean, money doesn't grow on trees.
But
Where's-
I'm
where's-
just asking a simple question.
And-
Do you support it because, or don't you?
George, I don't know. I don't know if we have the money. I just heard what Counselor Nellens said. I'm gonna paraphrase what I thought I heard from him. A number of years ago, we had a shortage in the general fund, and it really made things difficult for the police department. Did I hear that? Is that
Well, I
what you
think it
said?
made it difficult for all departments,
So if-
public works and fire and.
let's find out where we are. It's easier to adjust to your current budget realities before you spend the money.
But
Then
we're there
after you make
right
commitments-
now. We're there right now.
Well, and I'm
I'm just
saying,
asking a simple question.
let's wait 2 weeks to see. Now, my position historically is I am strongly supportive of the police
We all
department. And I want to continue to do so. But I'm also elected to be one of 5 people that approve budgets. And right now, I don't know where the budget numbers fall. That puts me in a really challenging position. My gut tells me, yeah, I want to support police hires. Can we afford it? Nobody in this room can answer that question right now. That's a real difficult question. When we don't have the answers that we need to be able to move forward. I think we need our financial officers to be able to give us that report and give us that peace of mind. That's just my thoughts.
If I'm looking at this correctly, part of this is not hiring 3 new people. This is reclassifying an administrative assistant and a data processing supervisor or whatever, right? Those 2 positions. And what you're really saying is we don't want those 2 positions filled, but we'd like to have these 3 positions filled.
Correct.
And so for that net result is about $110,000 or so, $113,000. Especially, I just think that this town, some of the problems that we've had in the last 18 to 36 months has been the lack of staffing at the town manager's office. I think our lack of working with the train and the TOD and is the lack of economic development direction that we have staff doing. And I think the money that we are potentially losing by not being aggressive with TOD and economic development, not to say that we want to start building something right now, but we need to start getting that plan put together. Because I think that's the way we're going to beat the budget crisis, is in 3 to 4 years, is additional TOD money that where the TIP money came in to pay the police officers and having that fund. I think the TOD is that same type of avenue that is even better than TIP money, because now, we have, local option income tax or a TIP money for, the increment for, income tax, in that area, the TOD financing that way. I think we need to do this. The other thing that we do have, again, that I'd rather not delay this issue, is because this is a first and second read. And also then we still have the time that we have to, advertise for these positions. So when we get to really this money being spent, quite frankly, half of it's already been allocated through administrative assistant position and the data
Whatever.
processing specialist.
Charlie's job.
Yeah, Charlie's job. So again, while it sounds 3 positions, it's really reclassifying 2 and adding a 3rd position. I would like to, I think this is appropriate to put on there. And I think the questions you're asking, Jonathan, I think will be answered even before, possibly before second read, and certainly before
We hire anyone.
the application or the, what do you call it? The position announcements are extended even further. So,
Are we obligated to 2 readings on this?
Yes.
So you can't do it on a unanimous consent?
Oh, you put on a unanimous consent, but what's proposed is 2 readings. If the memo says first
Right.
reading,
Right.
Joe, anything?
I feel like we're gonna be going through budget season coming up here, getting all the information revealed to us. I think that with this being on the agenda, if there was any hair raising concerns, I mean, Wendy and Tricia would have been like, no way. So I'm comfortable with it. I think it's necessary, and I think that, you know, the town would just run better with people in the positions where we need people to make sure the Ts are crossed and the Is are dotted.
I want to get back and again, make a comment that a number of years ago, when we had that shortage, we didn't have the option of TIF money for paying for public safety. And that makes a big difference. Not that it's free for all, well, we just pull the bucket up all the time, but it is an option that we have, it's a tool we have that we didn't have before. And I think if we have the 2 readings, that will give us some time to get additional information. And again, we're not obligated, if we have a first reading, we're not obligated for the second. reading.
Not at all.
And we need to get the information. And I agree that we need to have more staff in the town manager's office. We didn't fill those positions because we were running lean and we were waiting to see what we were gonna do, and we were looking for somebody like Jim Marino to come in here and lead the operation. So now that we have a full-time leader, and I appreciate everything that Trish did, she worked really hard to help hold it together. And, you know, we survived the year. We picked up Bob down there in Public Works.
Now I know where you live.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think we've got some tools to work with, and we need to know exactly where we are on the money. I agree with that.
Yeah, we're gonna find out.
Yeah.
Any other discussion over this?
I just want to say, I understand, Jonathan, I understand your position, obviously. The finances is important, but my perspective is, I think, different than you as elected officials, because my responsibility to implement and operate and administrate. So I see what goes on every day and what needs to be done and what you want to be done. And we're talking about the strategic plan here for communications, but don't forget there's another strategic plan, which is the strategic plan.
Yeah.
That still has to be brought to you and discussed, and that's a whole nother initiative with goals and objectives that has to be implemented by somebody. So I'm just pointing that out. My perspective is a little different in, you know, how do we get all this done? And there's the cost to it, but it's also the value of what you're getting for what you're paying.
Is the town manager's office gonna grind to a halt if we don't move forward this on Monday?
It's not gonna grind to a halt.
2 weeks. I want to hear what our financial officers say. That's my position.
I think we're gonna keep this on. We got 2 readings. We could listen to our financials. We got the information that you asked last time. This is just first reading. If we hear something drastic before second reading, we're all going to be here again. And we cut it. That ends new business. We're gonna have reports, portfolio reports. Let's move into redevelopment. Really, same thing. We don't have anything, the consent agenda, old, no new, no reports, no announcements, and then adjournment on that. So that finishes our meeting on Monday. What else do we want to talk about?
I just wanted to bring up we had the TDD, semi-monthly, quarterly meeting yesterday. And what was unique about that, there's 2 things that I would like to see, not a lot of discussion right now, but just, I want to make sure you guys saw my email yesterday. The memorandum of understanding between the RDA and the town is still in draft form. And from my understanding, Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, that's kind of how we will eventually be able to use some of the money, some of the parameters, and how that money gets filtered from the, how it's being collected to the town. Okay. That's more legalese and stuff like that, but I'm a little concerned that that's still in draft form and it's not ready. And now what they showed yesterday was they are starting to collect increment now. And the first increment out of the 4 or 5 different towns, Munster has collected or has been allocated the largest increment. Still, it's $90,000. It's not a lot of money. But I guess I'm wondering how much effort we should be putting together to at least have more communication with the RDA and with regards to the TOD. And if potentially, maybe a small group of us should meet just to kind of get this thing moving along, so we know when that money is being given to us, how we use it, and at the same time, we start understanding how much money this is going to be happening over the course, because this is just the first draw. It's a portion of the year.
And hence why we need a redevelopment manager to help us out with all this, to show up to these meetings, to figure this out, to bring back to us. We're losing money.
I don't know if we're
Leaving
losing
money
money.
on
We're
right
leaving
now.
money on the table. and-
But I just want to be
No,
ready,
yeah,
I
we
just
can
want to
look
be
at that.
ready to have this and have that memorandum of understanding happening, that we're ready to work with this, because I could see this kind of being dwindled on, and then all of a sudden the memorandum of understanding is geared more to different towns than not our town. Ones that maybe are a little bit more heavy into development and a little bit less into the income portion of it all. And I think we'd be better off kind of being more aggressive and proactive with it than reactive.
Hey, Chuck, wait a minute. Have they changed the TOD expenditure statute? The increment that comes in from Munster has to be spent in Munster, right?
It does, and, on the property, well, so you got two components, right? You got the property side and the income side, right? So that's, the income side is the interesting part. It's whether people live in or working there, but you still set a base, right, which has now been set. So really, you need projects, right, or folks moving there to live, right, to get either the income or the increase in assessed value from that base. But no, to answer your question specifically, Jonathan, no, it's not been changed. Anything that's collected in Munster has to be spent in that TOD.
But Chuck, if you come away with the impression, the RDA, because they control that money, they could unilaterally spend it, and we could have no say in it.
I don't get that impression.
Well, they've been, when they've met with us, they said, well, we want to work with you and we want to spend it. You were at that meeting. Have they changed their tune?
No. I don't believe I'm not worried that the RDA is gonna have the money. But what I'm worried about is, does Munster understand how much money is gonna be coming in? And also, do we understand the parameters of that money? And do we understand how we could potentially improve that money? Increase it, the increments.
So you're gonna get dribbles and drabs until you get a project that either causes an increase in property taxes or causes people to live in the TOD to increase the income taxes. Right? Because you got a base set, and so you're getting dribbles and drabs now because it's just based on the passage of time. There's been an increase in assessed value. There's probably people living there, right? So my discussions with them has been like, don't rely on the income so much because it's impossible to project, right? Like what's but you need a project, right? I need $5 million of new assessed value going in there, right? And then I can project what's going in the TOD.
But the money that's there, if it doesn't have to be a new project. Does it?
I don't understand the question. If it's an old project, like,
We
the
wanna-
base is set already, right? So the old
Getting-
project's being captured by the base, right? I need a new project. I need something new
Yeah,
Or the increment from existing properties.
to go way up,
Right.
which is a new project, at least in my.
this is very simplistic, and I would hope we would never think about doing this way. But we wanna fix potholes on Ridge Road. And we're gonna take the money out of the TOD money, because it's in the district. Could we do that?
You need their approval. I mean, they probably want to see something more
Yeah,
than
it's a bad
just
idea.
fixing.
I get it, but I guess I guess part of it is, does staff understand what we can do and what we can't do? And in fact, does the council understand what projects, I don't really want to get into the projects part of it, but the potential for that revenue to be helpful, and can that revenue be used for, an operating budget that is something that's strictly associated with something within the TOD?
Yeah, you gotta get more specific than an operating budget, operating what? Right, something in the something, right, like that's a tough.
Right, we're gonna hire an independent contractor to water flower pots on Ridge Road and Calumet Avenue.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna be able to do that.
Well,
But,
I'm doing that example.
but the whole idea behind the TOD is, right, there's gonna be this, and I'm not, this is not a political statement, right, this is what they're saying. They're saying, they set up this TOD because this train's coming through and there's gonna be all this economic development that is gonna hit the areas around those train stops, right? And therefore, you've got a base assessed value and flood of economic development is gonna increase that assessed value. You're not gonna capture all that. It's gonna go into this TOD. The idea is that money then gets spent for further economic development in the TOD.
And they gave us a map.
And they gave us the map, right? And we helped draw the map for what we wanted it to be. But then it's to support further economic development in, right now, if that means I gotta redesign a road, and again, I'm not getting into, right, Ridge Road, but let's say it's a different road, right? And I wanna redesign the road. Theoretically, that money could be used for stuff like that, right? But I need to get that increment flowing in there, and right now, it's like a water faucet that's like barely turned on, and you're getting the drip, 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 because all you're getting is the increase in assessment from the passage of time.
Right.
So like the Harrison, we want to cut through. We could use TOD money, correct?
Same concept.
And you have to go to them, and the good news is that they have ways that they get better interest rates, and that they want us to go to them, and they want to work with us on it, and it's got to be spent inside that circle they drew.
Or the Jones Clinic,
I-
we want to buy that property.
When's the next time you're meeting?
It meets every 3 months, I think it is. Again, this is strictly an advisory committee. This isn't, we're not making any big decisions in the 15 minutes that I meet with these
But that's,
people.
you're meeting with Sherry Zeller and well.
It's Dave Wellman that runs it, and the guys from Policy Analytics are on there. I would be happy, I think anybody can be on the calls. It's a public meeting, so I'd be happy to send you the next email.
Great, yeah.
But again, but don't raise your expectations of what's discussed
Can
here.
I offer a suggestion, next time you engage with them, and casually, flesh out what they're thinking? Because, yeah, if you can grab some money for some potholes, or something like that, I think I go for it. It gets a sense of whether they've got some super project concept, or the nuts and bolts is something that they'd be willing to consider. It'd be helpful to know.
Well, and I guess part of it is not knowing all the details, and we have developers in town that kind of say, well, we can get financing through the RDA, through the TOD, and I guess it's partially my lack of understanding how this all works, that I want to make sure that at least somebody in the town knows how this is working, and that we are starting to collect increment right now. Now, their increment is small, it's low, but I was a little surprised that it was as much as it was, because we haven't done anything with it. And also at the same time, if there's advantages to looking at projects that we might not have looked at before, because we look at this increment can really help us out with possibly Harrison Avenue or something else that way. And if it's potential buildings that we're looking to purchase, that allows us then to do more with it. So again, I just want to make sure, I wanted everybody to be aware that we are collecting increment now. And don't look to me for expert advice on it. I'm looking for other people to lead this train a little bit, because I do think this is kind of that life. This is one of the things that will help the town in the future fund different projects and things like that, that we have to be able to use this tool, in the tool chest, right? Haven't we heard that before? Dave?
Well, in addition to the TIP district too, because those overlap, so you have the ability to use funding from both.
Okay, and that's all I really wanted to say with it. If there's I'd be more than happy to meet with anybody, but at the same time, I would really rather have people that know what have been involved
Know
with
what
it.
they're talking
Yeah,
about?
Dave, yeah, exactly, be much more involved with it, but I just wanted everybody to know that it was interesting to me that we actually have an increment now.
I just wanted to jump in and say, I think, and I'm not advocating that we increase it, I want to make that disclaimer right up front. But I believe that the governor out of downstate talked about one of the tools we could use is a wheel tax. Now, we've already implemented a wheel tax, but it's low. $25 a vehicle, but that could be increased.
Well, I think during the budget review, we're gonna either have to increase revenue. Only one way to increase revenue, Dave, is
So
taxing, or we have to cut down services. That's the only way that we're gonna balance.
whatever, and
this.
then I think we have to take a hard look at the TODD as far as revenue, because right now, we don't have a whole lot around those stations. And you have to have new additions. And the South Station with Dyer and Munster, we got nothing down there except housing, but now if they go in and pull off the income, well, there's some income down there. Anyway, you have to figure out how that all goes. And we have to know the whole picture, see where we're at. I mean, it's an impact, but how much of an impact is it?
But Dave, in the south, it's income, but it's gotta be new income. So you've got income set at a number now, whatever it is, and then it's new income.
So new houses.
So I
new
either need people to get big raises down there, or I need more people down there, right? And I'm not advocating for more people down there. I'm just saying I need new income captured.
Now, let me ask
Does that
you a
mean
question.
housing?
It can be housing,
Because
yeah.
Powers Health just bought that.
Yeah, it can,
last
it can
parcel.
be, and they don't tell you what kind of housing it has to be. It can be any kind of, right? Like, so it can be single family.
But on income, so someone gets a big raise.
Yeah.
And they're normally would pay so much income tax. Is that income tax gonna go to the TODD?
Part of what's paid in the income tax will then, part of the increase will go to fund.
But it's not an increased amount of tax on the
It
individual.
is not an increased amount of tax on the individual, save that they get such a big raise that they go into a different tax bracket, right?
Right, but it's,
Ask for cash.
but it's not,
Tips.
yeah, tips aren't gonna
Maybe
be
we
taxed.
lose- I don't know, we could lose income then, right?
So
I don't know.
all right, I'm just trying to learn more about this.
Yeah, I mean, the idea is that you spur economic development, more people live and work there, and real estate taxes go up, and the people more people live and work there, causing the income in that area to go. That's the idea.
And there's still some open lots down there.
Things?
Yes.
Yeah, but it looks like Powers Health is gonna build single family homes in the last phase of Westlake.
Well, that's what they need to build or they won't get approval.
No.
And you won't let them have water or sewer. So they'll have to do wells and septic.
So. Anything else? Yeah.
No, I got something. Last year, we had to re-implement a series of code enforcement ordinances because the character-based zoning, when it was implemented, abolished things like you can't park on your front lawn or you have to trim down your overgrown grass. When we did that, it was a race. And the committee that was involved staff from every department, and the promise that we made to everyone in the town was, hey, we're gonna do this in 2 rounds. First round is gonna get the big skeleton, get as much that we can on, and we're gonna let the ladies in code enforcement, give them a year, see what works and what doesn't work. And the ladies, Kim and Holly, come back. We've got about a dozen ordinances that are broken. I'll illustrate. The medium and heavy duty overnight parking ordinance is broken. It requires the offender to allow us to weigh their vehicle in order to confirm that it was a medium or heavy duty vehicle. Well, that clearly doesn't work. And what I understand is we no longer enforce that ordinance. Another example, the obstructive bushes. There's an ordinance that speaks to if the bush is within 25 feet of the corner, and there's a triangle that gets drawn on the main street and the perpendicular street, bushes within there can be no higher than 22.5 feet. Well, it turns out the Speedway and the Greek restaurant, and you're aware of that, they've got bushes that are about 20 feet in diameter,
Totally out of control.
totally out of control. And last year when we measured it, guess where the bushes are? They're at 26 feet. So the ladies have done Herculean work, and it's my understanding what they've done is they've gone out, they've identified the broken ordinances. In some instances, they found ordinances. We had a Tom Soraka who was offering some things on, he jumped in and offered what he found with other communities. This is about a dozen ordinances that are broken and need to be fixed. And this is something that the ladies reached out to me because we had talked about it. And then I had my illness, and we're now at the point where we need to do it, and we have Jim. My suggestion is that Jim take the lead on this. We either get the ladies and Nicole Bennett, or we get everybody, the way we did before, which would be Lieutenant Brollman. I think we had somebody from the fire department, right, Chief? We had Jeff and Nicole Mazer from planning. Dave, you were involved in this. Who else was on that committee?
But yeah, I was gonna say Nicole Mazer needs to be on that,
Yeah,
cause
and
she does,
the ladies can report to this group, this is what's not working. And then we fix it. And these are all ordinances that we have on the books, but they're not working for a variety of reasons, as I've illustrated. And there's another 10 or 11 like that. So I think this is something we need to do. I don't think it's anything controversial. We just want the ordinances to work since we've already passed them. And I think Jim should be the guy that takes the lead. Jim, do you have time? Yeah, I'm volunteering you.
oh, I don't.
Okay.
Isn't Nicole working with
Not right
them?
now. It needs to be done. I agree.
No?
Without a doubt.
That's
It's a
what I
matter of-
don't know about. I don't know about these specific,
Yeah, but
these, I mean, she's working on the overall code, right?
But she is working with all of the department heads and people who are involved. I spoke with the two ladies and they said they gave those to Nicole. I mean, what else can we do right now until it gets all done and approved?
That's not
No,
feedback.
they told me that you approached them, they did not approach you.
Look, I'm not gonna point fingers at who.
No, but I
approached
just don't,
who.
please.
And again, this was
Tell the
part,
truth.
George. I'm telling you,
Okay.
this was part of the original plan. It was gonna be a round two of this after the first year of enforcement activities. We're ready for round two. And I think if Jim, you don't have time, then I think what we do is we do it the same way we did last time. We call that committee. The committee meets, we give it to Nicole Bennett, she fixes it. I think the ladies have fixes, their ideas of fixes for each one of these ordinances. And my suggestion is we do it.
No, that's fine. I just don't want them coming to my house, your house, anybody's house. It needs to be done in town hall
Nobody's doing it at anybody's house.
or office.
Okay, that's fine. That's the new rule, no problem. We've done it in my office before, but if that's not what we want, no problem. My suggestion is, let's not get bogged down in this. This is something that needs to be done. It's overdue. Right now, medium and heavy duty vehicles are able to park overnight. Right now, we've got those bushes on Ridge Road and it doesn't look like, we've reached out to the owner. And Jim, have you had any luck with that? You're not gonna have any luck until somebody gets issued a citation. Same thing with the Speedway. And we've got a dozen other ones like this, 10 to 12, and I think somebody needs to take an initiative on this.
Dave, I have a question. If a property owner is not compliant with cutting weeds, with trimming bushes, does the town have the ability to have the work done and then bill the property owner? Can we have a landscape contractor go out and, mow the lawn, cut the weeds? Trim the bushes?
There's lawn mowing, I'd have to pull your ordinances up to answer that question. And lawn mowing, typically the answer is yes. With the other stuff, I'd have to look and see exactly. And that may be what they're referring to, right? I don't know, because I didn't have that conversation.
Right.
It may be what the code enforcement officials are referring to. So I'd have to look at it.
I would just suggest either Jim, or if it's Sergio, or if it's a chief. I know the code ordinance is always, again, different groups, the building does some, police do some, and, but I think, can we follow up with Nicole Bennett and find out what's the avenue forward to clean up the code issue? I think that makes sense. And again, if it can be run through, if it's a police department code enforcement, because they're the ones gonna follow up with it, then chief can start it. If it's a building code that Sergio has to do, then Nicole Mazer needs to be involved with that part of it all. And again, I probably, it'd be nice if you were just to kind of oversee everything going on, but at the same time, these code issues are really, it's a police issue or it's a building department issue. But again, I agree. If staff is coming to us and saying, here's what's written in the code, we can't enforce it, so we're not paying attention to this, then we need to clean it up. And whatever the process is, I would say let's follow up and try to do it. And I would hope that staff could do that with Nicole
And then
Bennett, not Nicole Mazer and blah, blah, blah.
Nicole Bennett needs to write the wording.
Right, and she would know why it's not being
And
handled
meet
now.
what Indianapolis says.
Is there a large?
But this can be done before we update the building code, correct? Because we updated these codes last year before we did the building code, right?
Yeah, can't
Yeah,
we do
we picked
emergency
some,
codes
Terry
right
picked
away?
some out and had them updated.
But you can, I say you can, like, I'm vaguely familiar with the heavy duty one that Jonathan's referring to, and it does deal with weights and, like, I know there was significant conversations with Chief Shekel about, as written, this is not 100% unenforceable, but it's very difficult because of the weight issue.
Okay.
So I know there was, and that was 6 months ago-ish, there was a conversation, I know that I was on an email thread that I saw. Here's the problem with that particular. And I thought there were suggestions back saying, here's what we could do to this. So, without knowing all the ones, the 10 or 12 or whatever
Right.
we're talking about, we have to take them one by one, but there are certainly ones that.
Yeah, the fence code.
Well, can we actually get a copy of what these ordinances they've identified? I don't have a copy.
Nor do we, so sure, ask them, and
Right.
if they would provide it to us, that'd be wonderful.
No, I mean, again, this is just consistent with what we discussed when they did it a year ago. Go out and enforce and stuff that's not working, let us know, we'll fix it.
But in fairness to them, they should have an avenue. They go back to either chief of police or Sergio. There needs to be a structure of who they
Yes.
report that to. And I think that's
And
where.
we want it to be given in some systematic fashion, right?
Yeah.
So however that is, doesn't matter. It's
I'm gonna suggest that Jim here gather up those, that he be the central point to gather them, just, contact each group and tell them you need to have copies of the codes that they have questions about and their suggested modifications.
Is there a high volume of these tickets that go out that they just disregard, that you ask that question, that we need to go out and do the work instead of waiting?
I don't know.
Right, we don't.
No, I don't think it's a question of them disregarding tickets. I think it's a question of the code enforcement folks feeling that they can't write the ticket because they feel that our ordinance doesn't cover to the extent that it should. So,
No chief.
right, I think it's more of a question of we're not writing the tickets, not that the tickets are not enforceable. I mean, once they figure out it's not enforceable, and if they're writing tickets, they're gonna stop writing tickets, because why the heck are you
Yeah,
writing
not
tickets if it's not?
Very good.
I had some I wanted to bring up, and I'm just gonna,
Not enough time, George, sorry.
Yeah, there's-
Joking.
we all received a letter stating that there's a committee out there that wants to see an underpass under Calumet Avenue. Saying that is what they want, and I thought the town council is the one that approves all this. I just want to make sure, are we for or against it before we could go back to that certain committee? Are you for an underpass on Calumet Avenue?
Put it this way, I don't see an underpass happening in the next 3 to 4 years, so that's very low on my priority list.
Who is this committee?
You sent us the email. Jonathan?
I was requesting information so that I could start looking at it.
Wait a minute.
It's not a committee.
Well, just Jonathan Peterson. In June, the Munster Republican Policy Committee approved the prioritization of the Calumet Underpass. Today, I request information from town manager to begin the process. Who is the Munster Republican Policy Committee?
Part of the Munster Republicans.
But they prioritized Calumet Avenue. We didn't. That's all I'm trying to get here. Why are we wasting time when none of us agree on it right now? It may be 5 years.
Well, okay. I'm looking into it because I think it is something that is important. In fact, I'm gonna send all of you photos that I got just today
Okay,
of
but
Calumet Avenue backed up to the hospital. And it illustrates the reason for this.
Okay.
When council started discussing this, Dave, 45 years ago,
Right,
it's because the backups that happened.
but we had trains across the intersection. I just asking, in that picture, do they show that there's a train?
There was a train today that was, in fact, my understanding, I got a report from my staff, it was stopped on White Oak, blocking traffic across from my office. So you had the train, it's all the way to Calumet, it blocked up traffic all the way back to the hospital. And the same distance in the other direction. And again, this is something that I think is worth investigating. It's part of our process as municipal elected officials. We look at things and we consider whether, how it can be done, what it would take to be done, and then there's a conversation about it. And right now, I'm looking into it. And I think it's important that we have that information so that we can have a
and
conversation.
please look into it, but don't use town staff and take away from our residents when right now we don't want to look into it. I spoke with Jay Leeser. Jay Leeser said how detrimental it will be for his businesses. McComas, Marathon, spoke with them, how detrimental that is going to be to their businesses, as well as, what's his name across the street? Him.
Well,
I'm
again,
just stating.
these are conversations, and there's
Yeah.
only one source of the information, which is the town, so I do need to get it from the town. I can't dig up information on my own. But in fact, I spoke with Jay, and he mentioned something, and I know he spoke with both of you and Joe. And that's the no horn work. According to Jay, they were about 90% of the way to getting that on Calumet. And we have that at White Oak, and it makes a huge difference.
Yes, it's a lot quieter.
It's a lot quieter, and I think,
I haven't heard a horn at Calumet.
Yeah. But we were applying for that. Well, so what was the answer?
well, the answer was, it was 90 to 95% of the way done. And then the then town manager was let go and never completed. So Jay asked, can we finish it? And I think that's a great idea. Let's finish it.
We should finish
We
it.
should finish it, but do you know anything about it?
Oh, yeah, I thought we were applying, and I know Jill and Dustin were applying for it, and if they were let go, and who knows who followed up on it. So, yeah, we were really close. That's why I was surprised that it's not done yet.
Here, George, you wanna see,
So-
a
so-
video of this? I've got a video.
Okay,
There it is at Calumet Avenue,
okay,
coming by, that was 2 Sundays ago.
okay.
So they make a big loud noise.
So there's an application, Jay worked on one on White Oak Avenue when he built his subdivision over there. And they don't, there's the train, by putting up a center median along the road,
It's a quiet zone.
it's a quiet
Quiet
zone.
zone.
And so I think the other one that we should be looking at is on Ridge Road. Because I thought that was also part of the deal there, that we were working on a quiet zone in that area.
Yes,
That's,
you're right. That
well,
needs to be
that,
done.
that is in process.
I
Okay,
think they're working on it.
so again, and my argument, I don't think Calumet Avenue underpass should be off the table. My argument is, we have way too many things going on right now to have our town manager, who I said before, he's overworked and there's not enough people in that office to go back to find paperwork and documentation from things that were 7, 8 years ago, even before Dustin Anderson was here. This was the Tom DiGiulio project.
Yes.
Do I think we should eventually get that information and look at and take what the cost was in 2015, what it would be now? Yeah, I think there's some value in knowing what that could be. It's just, I don't think it's a high priority in my mind right now for staff to be looking at all the details. So that's where I come in on the equation, but certainly, because right now, we just brought up another thing to put on Jim's lap, is the quiet zone. And because I think you might want to check with SEH, they might be involved with that. I'm hoping that they were involved. I hope it wasn't just Jill doing it, because she was an engineer, but I would check with SEH on that.
But then Jonathan, I wanna bring up Ridge Road. We still have to do Ridge Road. And that's gonna cost money out of the town's coffers. To match up with the feds, if we still have that money. And at the time when we went down to Indianapolis, we were looking at nominally the amount of $50 million to do both underpasses. And Calumet Avenue is gonna cost more money because there's more infrastructure running through that rail crossing. And the shoe flies, they demand that, is gonna cost us more money. And I've been down there, when there's no train and the traffic's backed up to the hospital. Just with the intersection at 45th and Calumet and the other lights in front of Pepsi and Franklin. It's, especially now with the 45th Bridge closed. It's diverting a lot of traffic. So I'm saying that I think I've got other things on the plate I need to look at. Not that the
Well,
underpass is
again,
totally.
there's no other source for the information. And I put a public records request in for full transparency. I'm asking for information. And again, what I'm really looking for is budgeting information and renderings. I would think that there's a file cabinet where you can find that stuff. But in order to advance the conversation, I gotta get it from the town. That's the only way I could get it. And you guys are saying no, and the alternative is a public records request. It's a meaningful request, and that's something I'm gonna look into, and when I get it done, I'll report back to everyone. So, there we go.
Beautiful. Don't take this the wrong way. The best person to talk to probably about that is Robinson Engineering. Because they were the town's engineering.
They were.
And they would be the ones that would know, they would have all the information right off the bat. But again, they're not our engineering firm anymore, and
That's the problem.
but you've used them before on that kind of stuff. That's all I've got to say.
Well, they might be very willing to share the information in order to have their foot in the door.
Yeah, because wasn't the 45th Street, that's hearsay.
It was Robinson,
Forget it, yeah, that's hearsay, I'm not saying it.
but anyway. So, but that's what I was involved with that down to Indianapolis, and they came back and told us that that was $50 million was too much money for one community to get from the state. But, the project, the overall, there was Fed money, state money, and local money.
Just to wrap up, Jim, you're gonna follow up on the quiet zone question on Calvin after.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yes,
And I did bring that up to Jim earlier, because I did talk.
Thanks, Jay. Thanks, because that's important.
Sorry about that.
Very good. We all got an email while this meeting was going on from Gary Babcock about the work.
Yeah,
In my quick review of it, it said back in May 23rd, he wrote a letter out to everybody, the press release saying that due to the speed of the project, they had to start working at 6 o'clock in the morning. And he closes his email by saying, we're exempt from municipal laws because
you're absolutely right.
we're NICTY. Now, again, I'm paraphrasing, that's a very long email,
They're
but
right,
everybody
right.
has it, so.
Does
Again,
Amanda have it?
it was sent to Amanda,
Okay.
so just so you know, that's what I just read in, 10 minutes ago. So,
I just read 10 minutes, I read 11 minutes ago that they're going to be closing Fisher Street and they're going to be closing Ridge Road.
Where?
Fisher, I'll give you the date.
At the rail.
By my shop.
Okay.
Good shot.
I got it going next.
I do too. I got another meeting. Meeting adjourned.
How long are you telling me the date?
Okay, thanks, everybody.
Fisher,
Thanks.
825 through 827. Ridge Road, 828 through 830. Total closure. Total closure.
Can you tell our communications director to put that?
So we'll need to put that out,
Yes.
and
I already sent it to you.
I'm gonna make an assumption that they're pulling the ties.
Yes, sir.
They're doing whatever for that insulator thing.
Yep.
So Rick, along our